Please welcome Sherry Williams.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Good morning. I hope you had a great night last night and enjoyed the concert in the stadium. Tons of fun. I hope you've also had a great couple days at the conference and have had the opportunity to spend some time on the show floor, touch and feel a little bit of the products that we're going to talk about today, and really get a sense for how all of this comes together. Now, this morning, we're going to spend a little bit of time with some of our colleagues. I'm going to think of these folks as our colleagues today, because they all are in your respective area. And I'm guessing some of you wear these titles yourselves. So we're going to look at what the CIO, the CDO, the CISO, and the CFO are really focused on when it comes to adopting and deploying AI in the enterprise. Each leader has a different perspective, as you well know. Each leader is focused on something unique to their job and their environment that leads us to actually coming together and making one decision. And we'll get to that decision as we go forward. But before we get to this decision, let's take a look at where we've come in the last couple of years. A couple of years ago, when we introduced Private Cloud AI, a lot of enterprises were still in the experimental phase. Over the last few years, a lot of pilots have been run. We've seen a lot of customers doing a variety of different pilots, testing out what works and doesn't work from an AI perspective. Today, those pilots are actually turning into production. And as more and more of those pilots turn into production, there are more and more use cases being exposed, more and more use cases stacking up. We've seen a shift in the percentage of model building to inferencing on the order of 2/3 today is now focused on inferencing. Pretty significant shift in the last couple of years. With that shift, a really challenging thing surfaces, and that is, how do you scale? How do you scale AI in this environment? And we're going to talk about that a bit today. Before we get to that, we're also going to talk about the Agentic movement. So in 2022, it was all about chatbots. ChatGPT, chatbots, HPE has their own Chat HPE. Over the course of the last couple of years, there's been an explosion with agentic technology. Today, it's very easy to create an agent. Pretty much anybody in your organization has the ability to do so. That is changing a lot for all of us. It's estimated that 39% of all enterprises are experimenting with agents today, and that 23% are actually already scaling with them. It's a pretty significant growth in the last couple of years. Now, as you face this challenge of inferencing becoming the predominant model, agents everywhere, really looking for one platform that meets several criteria has become front and center for many of us. The criteria that platform needs to meet is we need to have our data AI ready. Data fuels AI, the data needs to be AI ready. We need to be able to scale for this incredible surge of inferencing. And we have to have secure agentic AI that we can govern and ensure that we can manage it. If we go back to our colleagues, and we fine-tune a little bit what they're focused on with those things in mind, as the pilots are going into production, the CIO has to worry about being ready to actually support those production deployments. And the data has to be available and secure to support the production deployments. Those deployments need to be secure and governed to ensure that there's no bad actors in the environment. And of course, last but not least, budgets have to be controlled. In many cases, budgets have been established that haven't taken into consideration the costs and the token economics associated with this surge in inferencing and agentic AI. 4 leaders, all focused on different things, but as you see when I went through the different criteria, it's applicable to all 4. This is leading to that board level or C-level team really having one decision they all have to align on, and that is, where does their AI run? Private Cloud AI, we introduced HPE Private Cloud AI 2 years ago at Discover. Co-engineered with NVIDIA, it is a fully integrated turnkey appliance. It starts with HPE ProLiant Gen 12 servers powered by NVIDIA GPUs. Today we're shipping RTX 6000 Pro and H200 GPUs. We add into it HPE Electra MP X10K storage. There's an NVIDIA switch, NVIDIA NVAIE software stack and NIMs, NVIDIA blueprints, HPE AI Essentials software stack, HPE Data Fabric software, HPE OpsRamp software, and HPE Morpheus to provide the containerization. That's a mouthful. A lot of components, all of that pre-integrated into t-shirt size configurations that are truly turnkey deployments. You can be up and running in one day from when we plug it into your network to enable models. Let's look at a little bit about some of the things that we've done in the last couple of years. We've been recognized by IDC as a leader in the worldwide private AI infrastructure category. And if you look closely where that green circle in the upper right corner, we're leading the way. As I noted, we co-engineer this system with NVIDIA. We are working with NVIDIA daily as they advance their technology, both at the GPU level as well as the software level. We are working side by side with them daily, bringing their rich complement of infrastructure and software together with HPE's infrastructure and software. We have been able to demonstrate an up to 60% lower TCO over 3 years versus public cloud. Pretty impressive. So what does it look like when you go back to the different roles of our colleagues? How does HPE Private Cloud AI solve their problems? So let's start with the CIO. The CIOs are very challenged these days with introducing additional technologies into their already complex environments. Private Cloud AI is part of HPE's hybrid cloud portfolio. It plugs in with our private cloud control plane, with Morpheus and OpsRamp, our software stack with X10K. It feeds right in to that operating model, fully unified. It's right-sized to grow. So you can start in that pilot phase with a developer system, and as you move into production and add more and more use cases, you can scale up to 265 GPUs today. And we offer it air-gapped for those of you who have sovereign regulatory requirements that drive your need to operate in a sovereign environment. So we operate both connected and disconnected. AI workloads don't stay small. As we add more and more use cases, as the models grow, single node limits are reached quickly. Performance throughput becomes a problem. As I already noted, we scaled to 256 GPUs today, running on the RTX Pro 6000 and H200 GPUs. In order to scale and prioritize, optimize the utilization of your GPUs, we also offer NVIDIA's Run AI, as well as the Kai scheduler. And we all care about performance. So we offer KV cache as part of the X10K storage embedded into private cloud AI. So I think, I'm not clicking. What I'd like to do next is share a video with you that will help, hopefully it'll be fun, and it will show you what it looks like to scale. This concept of being able to scale AI and the tool sets that needed to do so, that's what we'd like to show you in this next fun video.
Some AI deployments start simple: one model, one GPU, one workload. But scaling has a way of complicating things. Two jobs fight over the same GPU. Another sits idle. This isn't a hardware problem, it's a coordination problem. Sharing layer. Sharing routes work to available GPUs. Nothing sits idle. Great, that fixed it. Back to scaling. As you grow, so do resource requirements and urgency levels. But sharing alone doesn't know what matters. It opens up every lane and can't stop someone from blocking all of them. And things start to pile up again. Scheduling. Great, now you have scheduling. And with it, intelligence. It queues, prioritizes, and makes sure the high-stakes work goes first. Look at that. The neighborhood became a district, and now it's a metropolis. Different models, different sizes. Some jobs take seconds, some run for hours. At this scale, scheduling one intersection isn't enough. Orchestration. With orchestration, now you have the right model, the right resources, the right moment. The city runs itself. HPE Private Cloud AI, infrastructure intelligence. So your city doesn't just scale, it hums.
Yeah, isn't that fun? A little light humor for the morning of the final day. But hopefully it really clearly demonstrates the importance of being able to orchestrate and schedule as you scale AI. Having collisions not being optimized, you know what it feels like when you're just driving yourself. Having that framework in place that allows that orchestration and fine-tuning is critical as you scale in your environments. Now, HPE AI Essentials provides a workbench to help you build that framework. It allows you to build models, create agents, connect enterprise data, critical to making all this work, deploy to production, and govern access and utilization. And it's organized by persona. So your data scientists, software developers, data engineers, and operators can all access the tools in this toolkit that are relevant to their respective jobs. HPE Private Cloud AI is built for every kind of inference: transactional, agentic, and industrial. It also builds in or delivers the tool chain that your AI teams are looking for. So if you start at the top, we deliver open web UI that gives your users a familiar interface for RAG, chat, model selection, all governed from day one. The next layer, the light LLM layer, provides a single OpenAI compatible gateway to access and switch your models with centralized cost and policy control. The next layer, the NVIDIA optimized inferencing layer, provides the ability to scale across GPUs with high performance servicing and scheduling. This is all running on NVIDIA GPUs, NVIDIA software, noted above, and the HP infrastructure. I know this is a complicated slide and a lot to take in, but if there's one thing I want you to take away from this slide is all of those capabilities, all of these tools, these products, these capabilities are embedded and integrated into private cloud AI. You don't have to go find these, bring them in, integrate them yourself one by one. We do all that work for you. As co-engineered with NVIDIA, between the two companies, we integrate all this for you and deliver it for you so it's at your fingertips and the fingertips of your AI teams. Underlying AI, to make all this possible, data is critical. Having access to the right data at the right time is absolutely critical. That data needs to be AI ready. Introducing or integrating Electra MP X10K into Private Cloud AI enables you to have AI-ready data from the very beginning. The addition or the integration of HPE Data Fabric allows you to actually access and move data from different sources to make it accessible to run in this environment. We make sure that the data then is secure and governed as well. Security is always paramount for everyone's consideration. And when we look at things like the ability to create agents so easily, it's entirely possible that perhaps sometimes some of those agents aren't as productive or as secure as they should be. As part of Private Cloud AI, we've integrated in the NVIDIA Agent Toolkit. That ensures that you have agent operations that are secure from OpenClaw, Hermes, and others. We include 3-tier identity to ensure that if human intervention is needed or approval is needed for sensitive decisions, that's accessible or easy to implement. And all of it is a unified, auditable, cost-controlled model. So I have another fun video that I hope you'll enjoy that hopefully drive home the point of how important it is to secure and govern the agentic environment that you're all working in.
In most enterprises, AI agents are already everywhere. Built on laptops, department servers, and other unmanaged infrastructure across the company. It is productive until an agent overwrites production data, another gets tricked into leaking confidential information, and another multiplies out of control. IT is left in the dark with no way to see what's happening and no way to stop what shouldn't be. Agents aren't the problem. The lack of governance is. HPE Private Cloud AI, the visibility and governance you've been waiting for. Agents are built inside a governed environment. Security screened before being released to operate. Once deployed, agents don't just act. Every request is checked against policy. Routine actions move automatically. Sensitive actions require human approval. Your agents can still be fast, still autonomous, still powerful. But now they operate with visibility, control, and trust. HPE Private Cloud AI with AI Essentials. Enterprise Agentic AI you can see and trust.
So hopefully that really helps understand and put together, connect the dots. And when we talk about the security guardrails and so forth being in place, that's what we're talking about. So last but not least, of course, is the CFO. I know at HPE, our CFO is always on top of costs. When we look at what we're doing here in Private Cloud AI versus the hyperscalers look like an easy place to start. And in fact, it is for pilots and things like that. But there's a trap, okay? The frontier model tools, lifts productivity quickly, okay? But the per seat, per token cost compounds with every user, every use case, every transaction. It's very difficult to manage the cost and have any predictability at all. The hyperscalers optimize for that fast start. Let's experiment. Let's go make things happen quickly. But it carries a very high price tag when you look at going into production. High data gravity, high egress, and unpredictable token economics. Private cloud flips all of that. You get cloud simplicity, you own the economics, and your AI is running right next to your data. You own the infrastructure, and when you own the infrastructure, Inferencing stops metering. The variable bill becomes a fixed owned asset. You get optionality. You can buy GreenLake Private Cloud as CapEx or OpEx and consume it as a service through GreenLake platform. Let's look at a few numbers just for comparison. And you can run all different ways of looking at the numbers. This is just one option. If you look at if you look at 1 million tokens on Private Cloud AI, they run at about $1.10 versus $2.70 on Amazon Bedrock. An hour of GPU runtime is $45 on Private Cloud AI versus $63 on Amazon EC2. It's not really about the exact dollars here, it's more order of magnitude. At small scale, the hyperscaler is very convenient. HPE uses the hyperscalers for pilots as well. It's very convenient. It makes sense when you're trying to get started. But the moment you move into production, especially with RAG, inferencing, agentic AI, the metering goes off the charts very quickly. Private Cloud AI collapses that into a single optimized stack. And on-premise, your costs per token goes down the more you use it. I'm going to say that again. The more you use it, the cost goes down. You stop being a token consumer, and you start being a token producer. That's what AI you can budget for actually means. Excuse me. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, the number of announcements this week has been incredibly intense. I've had a hard time myself keeping track of all the announcements. So I thought I would centralize them all for you into one slide. Sorry about that. So as I said at the beginning, there's 3 real pillars that are important as you're looking at your AI story. The first is that your data is AI ready. To support that, we've integrated HPE Alletra MP X10K into Private Cloud AI. We've also integrated and expanded HPE Data Fabric into Private Cloud AI. This enables data prep and model fine-tuning to be exceptionally well done. We are allowing to scale inference for production by expanding up to 256 GPUs on the ProLiant Gen 12 server, and we're also introducing the ProLiant Gen 12 DL394 Vera-based server as well, or compute as well. I noted already that we've integrated NVIDIA's Run AI and Kai Scheduler to optimize GPU scheduling and utilization. And we've also integrated KV Cache through Alletra MP X10K as well. And for security and governance of your agentic AI, we've integrated NVIDIA's Agentic Toolkit. We have identity controls, human-in-the-loop ability to manage, and auditability end-to-end. We are a turnkey solution that can be deployed in a day, compared to the 6 to 12 months it takes to build your own AI factory. There's no egress, no cost per token fees, no surprise scaling. How are people using Private Cloud AI? We have several customers that are going to come up and share their experiences, and they both have very interesting use cases. We have a number of other use cases across our customer world as well. I'm not going to read the whole slide to you, but let's just look at the top. Enterprise copilots and knowledge AI, automation and documentation AI, decision intelligence and analytics, many industry-specific vertical use cases. And then, of course, the agentic AI we've been talking about. All of this provides a foundation for you to provide inferencing as a service. You have shared AI platform for all your enterprise teams. You can enable model deployment, testing and scaling. You have multi-tenant AI environments. And rapid prototyping is completely enabled. I can talk about this all day long, but I think what is most interesting is for you to hear some of the use cases that our customers are actually doing on the platform. My first customer is Yannis Seravalis from COSMOTE Telecom from Greece. Please help me welcome him to the stage. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. How's the conference been?
It was pretty interesting.
Yeah?
We are looking forward to see what else will bring to us HPE Enterprise.
Great. Well, thank you for making the long journey to be here with us today.
Thank you for the invitation.
To kind of set the scene, can you tell us about COSMOTE Telecom and what your role is, please?
Yes, of course. Myself and my team belong to COSMOTE Telecom's IT infrastructure division. We used to call ourselves as enablers because our platforms enabling others to do their jobs. So what we are responsible for is pretty much, among other platforms, the public cloud infrastructure, including Azure and GCP hyperscalers, private cloud infrastructure with nearly every enterprise hypervisor, including HPE VME. And let me say that most of those platforms are now currently moving under HPE Morpheus umbrella. Actually, we are here for our organization to provide answers about where, how, and which. So where your resources will be placed, either on public or private cloud, which services we are going to use for this to become true, and how this is going to be done.
You have a lot on your plate. Yeah. So why did getting governance and a real path to production matter before you scaled AI across the organization?
When I hear your question, the first thing coming to my mind is what was the situation before we installed the PCAI, and it was a pure mess. So rather than leaving its team to build and maintain its own infrastructure, we give them the capabilities they want while we manage the underlying infrastructure and platform. That way, they get more time for what really matters for them. We achieve the needed standardization, scalability, and we achieve also operational readiness. We strongly believe that efficiency and speed in AI delivery, in order to be achieved, AI has to be delivered as a managed service.
Absolutely. When we spoke before we got here to the conference, you shared some of your use cases, and we put some up on the screen for the audience to see. I think you have some very compelling use cases, and one of them is coding, which I think many in the audience can relate to. Can you walk us through how you're using Agentic AI for coding in your shop and what you've learned doing this with your developer organization? It's very interesting.
Of course. The idea behind that and how it works is an engineer assigns a Jira ticket to the agent. Smaller models analyzing the ticket and the requirements behind that. The code model generates the actual code, raises a merge request on our code repository, and a human reviews the merge request and approve or reject accordingly. That way, we leave AI to accelerate the delivery and the whole process while we keep humans in the loop and accountable for the final outcome. But here, let me say that we should not underestimate the economics. Commercial coding tools might be very expensive, especially in cases that you have deployed them on a large base of developers. This is the reason why we are looking for self-hosted models, such as Devstral on PCAI.
And I would encourage you to talk to Jonas after the session. I personally found the use cases very, very interesting and shared with my own engineering team some of what you've been doing, because I think it's really, really a great example of how you can use agents to accelerate your development processes. So that's engineering internal to the company. You also have a very interesting use case at the edge, reflective of the business environment that you have. Can you tell us about the fiber compliance verification that you do and how it helps your field technicians, people out in the field, on a day-to-day basis?
Of course. Fiber compliance verification platform is actually one platform that the users are our FTTH, FTTC field service technicians. Those technicians taking pictures of the fiber installations or the problems of those fiber installations, uploading those images into the platform, and a vision module analyze those images and compares them against a database for anomalies and quality. The final outcome is a compliance level based on a defined scale, if this installation is approved or not. That way, we managed to bring AI outside IT and data centers into our field service technicians and more closer to our end user customers.
It's fascinating, I think, just the AI at the edge in real world. Very, very interesting. So where does private cloud AI fit across your estate, and what results are you already seeing? What's next?
Let me say here that with the help of HPE team, we managed to achieve our enterprise targets, not only successful, but also fast and efficiently. So there is a long-standing HPE relationship, and HPE has a quite big footprint in our data centers. So by bringing PCAI inside, this stays alongside with our public and private cloud, and with a unified control and management across of them, we have similar use cases that can be handled the same way with public and private cloud. In more detail, there is a foundation layer based on a pay-as-you-go model for hardware and storage. It is actually a GreenLake contract, and the same behavior we followed for our PCAI. In the mid layer, we have a unified cloud management based on HPE Morpheus, alongside with our in-house automation platform, and of course the PCAI control platform. At the top layer, we have an intelligent selection workflow that takes into consideration parameters such as security and sovereignty, time to market, cost, actually token consumption, and proximity requirements before recommends the target infrastructure for this particular deployment. We believe in COSMOTE Telecom, we believe that speed is the most important factor in AI. The faster you move from POC, an idea, into the actual production, the faster you will see the actual business impact. And let me say that Private Cloud AI is on our side into the journey.
That's excellent. Delighted to hear that. Anything else you'd like to add?
No,
All right.
we are pretty excited at the COSMOTE Telecom for this representation. There are a lot of things to learn more, and we are thrilled to see what's next in the AI world.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you,
for
Sarah.
sharing your use cases and your journey.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you. So before I ask my next guest to join me on the stage, we're going to run a little video. The next guest is St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. For those of you who are not from the US, St. Jude's Children's Hospital does phenomenal things for children's health and medical care around the world, actually. It's not just US-based, but working with other medical institutions globally. So let's run the video so you get a sense of some of the amazing things that they do.
A tiny molecule. It holds an extraordinary superpower. The potential to change the future for millions of children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital is unleashing that potential every day, accelerating discovery to find cures and save children. HPE is dedicated to supporting this ambitious mission. For St. Jude, research isn't just what they do, it's who they are. Their teams of scientists and clinicians work side by side, decoding biology, developing breakthrough therapies, and delivering care with urgency and compassion. HPE's innovation is helping St. Jude advance faster from data to discovery to cure. Its research as a service model from HPE GreenLake provides St. Jude with the speed and flexibility to give researchers immediate access to massive amounts of data and the tools to analyze and uncover insights sooner. This is essential technology, translating research into life-saving treatments. Thanks to St. Jude, childhood cancer survival rates have risen from 20% to more than 80%. But the work isn't finished. St. Jude is reaching higher and farther, training doctors, building infrastructure, and expanding access to care worldwide. For St. Jude and HPE, this isn't just innovation, it's hope delivered. Unlock discovery. HPE. Unlock ambition.
Yeah. So please help me welcome to the stage RF Usta from St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. And how have you found the conference?
It's been great, definitely. And Discovery is always great. I was here last year as well, so yeah, it was a great conference for sure.
Excellent. Well, we're happy to have you here today. So can you start by telling us about your role and where AI fits into the research and care that's happening at St. Jude's today?
At St. Jude, our mission is quite clear. We are to advance cures for children with cancer and other catastrophic diseases. In research information services, my role as an AI engineer is to help bring modern AI capabilities into the research environment in a way that is secure, reliable, so that our researchers can effectively utilize these AI services. So our researchers, they are clinicians, biologists, computational researchers, data scientists, but they're not infrastructure or AI engineers. So our job is to reduce this technical friction so that they can find more time for what actually matters, the scientific discovery. And the way I think about AI at St. Jude is it accelerates scientific discovery. So that they get to explore more ideas, they work more efficiently, they utilize newer ways to interact with complex tools and data sources, and that's what we are trying to achieve in research information services.
It's fascinating. I have a little bit of background in research, and I really appreciate that giving the scientists and the researchers time to focus on that work is exactly where we want them to spend their time.
Yes, definitely.
At a high level, how do you think about keeping sensitive data and models governed and on-prem?
Well, the governance starts with clear boundaries. We work in an environment, trust, privacy, and institutional control are essential. So we think about AI platforms in layers. It starts with policies, and then access control, and then platform security, then reproducible deployment, and on top of that, of course, observability. So we need a platform that makes it clear for us who gets to access which AI models or which AI services, which data sources, and we would need to know how these accesses happen and when exactly they happen. So, and of course, on-prem matters a lot for us. For research institutions like us, data sovereignty is important and essential. So with on-prem infrastructure, we get to keep our confidential proprietary research assets within our institutional perimeter. And with that, our researchers feel confident and so that they can work on their research securely. And that's what we are trying to achieve at St. Jude.
The data security is incredibly important in what you're doing, for sure. I found this interesting when we spoke on the phone a couple of weeks ago. Can you walk us through how a model actually lands on private cloud AI? When a researcher comes to you and says, I need a model, what happens after that?
I mean, that's a great question, and I think it's one of the most important workloads that we have at St. Jude, because we have a broad spectrum of end users or researchers. And on one end, we have really technical users, but on the other hand, we have less technical users that are clinicians, biologists, and it's really important for us to understand their use case. So we start with the use case. We ask questions about the model that they are interested in. We ask questions about the data modality, the typical data that they want to utilize the AI for. And then we check and evaluate where the model comes from, of course. And of course, on top of that, we have to make sure that the hardware requirements are sufficient, or at least it fits into the deployment or inference platform that we have in terms of technical requirements. PCAI lets us basically address both end groups. So in one way, we get to enable our less technical users by providing endpoints and applications that are much easier to consume for them. But at the same time, we get to accelerate our more technical users by providing optimized endpoints and AI services. So, and that's how we typically handle those requests. But at the same time, we just do not wait for them to come to us. We are being proactive. We frequently monitor the industry, the benchmarks, and whenever we see there is a use case and there is a good open source model, we just make it available and we advertise it.
I bet they appreciate that a lot.
Hopefully they are, yes.
You also run a large HPC cluster
Yes.
for batch and offline work. What made online inferencing a different problem, and why solve it on private cloud AI?
Well, HPC is still essential for us, and I think it's a much better platform for large, heavy computational science workloads or batch workloads or offline inferencing, where you get to submit a job to a scheduler, you can wait in a queue for resources to be available for you. But online inference is fundamentally different because it requires responsiveness, availability, concurrency, and user experience. So whenever an application or user wants to have an access to a model or a service, it needs to be ready. It needs to be available. It cannot wait for scheduler to allocate resources. So, and And that's how we utilize PCAI as a model serving layer for providing these endpoints and applications for our researchers to consume. And thankfully, with the platforms built in scaling and the scheduling services, we get to scale them down and up based on the demand, which would allow us to actually utilize resources more than available, which is a great value for us.
We've already touched on this, but I think it's important to kind of reiterate this. Most of your users are researchers, not infrastructure engineers.
Yes.
How does Private Cloud AI let them use these models without having to become Kubernetes experts, which is very challenging in and of
Well, I mean, I'm not even a Kubernetes expert, so I cannot think about them honestly. And that's the value PCAI brings. So we need that kind of an abstraction for us. We need a tool that will abstract away those Kubernetes complexities, the technical requirements and the configurations that you would typically need for deploying models or basically spinning up some pods in Kubernetes infrastructure. So they don't worry about those technical or infrastructure burden at all. So they don't need to provide the GPU configuration YAML files. They don't need to worry about schedulers. And in fact, we also get to have benefits out of PCAI as well because it makes our lives easier, and we would get to serve more researchers at the end of it with that. So it's just abstracting away the complexities of Kubernetes. And I have to say that PCAI is the only Kubernetes infrastructure at St. Jude right now. So it helps us a lot, actually, more than maybe researchers. So we would use our resources more efficiently.
Very happy to hear it's helpful. Really happy to hear that. You've deployed a large number of models on a single PCAI or Private Cloud AI appliance. The system schedules and scales them on its own. You also have a second larger appliance on its way. Hopefully it's going to arrive soon.
Yes, hopefully.
What's driving the growth, and what does it unlock, especially when we talk about Agentic AI?
Yeah, that's a great question, especially regarding Agentic AI. But our growth is driven by two things mainly. The first one is demand, of course, and then the other one is model complexity. So we were able to deploy a lot of models on PCAI thanks to it's basically schedulers and then the scaling algorithms that would allow us to keep models inside PCAI ready, but not at the same time on the memory without basically consuming GPU resources. So the current PCAI that we have, we don't have a lot of GPU resources. With the new one on the way, hopefully, we will have flexibility in both directions. Vertical scalability to be able to basically deploy much larger and frontier language models that is especially relevant in Agentic AI. And of course, horizontal scalability to be able to support more users, more concurrent users for the same endpoints. And especially matters a lot in Agentic AI context. So agents do not just make one single inference call. They reason, retrieve context, call tools, and basically evaluate results and do all of these in loops through multiple steps. So which basically creates a lot of high volume inference workloads that can be quite unpredictable. So for research institutions like us, Agentic AI will not require only good models or frontier models. It basically requires a secure, reliable, and more importantly, the high throughput inference platform that would be required by the requirements of biomedical research.
Absolutely critical for what you're doing. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience? You've got some great insights on how to take AI from pilot to production and integrating Agentic AI.
I think what I can say is kind of related to the last question is the Agentic AI is, I think, great, but it requires a really scalable inference platform. And hopefully, I'm looking forward to having the second appliance so that I get to provide more frontier AI services to our researchers that they can enjoy and experiment with. And I think as I mentioned multiple times, this is where we see PCAI is quite critical for us, and we see PCAI as a foundation for our inference platform.
All right. Thank you so much. I love the story. I appreciate the partnership.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So 2 customers, different use cases, different parts of the world, benefiting from the value of private cloud AI, scaling with it, integrating agentic AI. Both Giannis and Arif will be up here at the end if anybody would like to talk with them and understand more additional of what they're doing. So let's come back to where we started at the beginning. We had our 4 colleagues that joined us for the day, our CIO, the CDO, the CISO, and the CFO. And we talked about the different things that matter to each role. Interestingly enough, all the things that matter, the different questions they have really converge into one decision that a company needs to make. And that really is, where are you going to run your AI? Where are you going to enable your AI teams to do the work that's going to change and empower your companies and realize the value of AI? The pilots have happened. Things are moving into production. What's next? As we've talked about, the data needs to be AI ready. It needs to be able to scale from an inferencing perspective. You have to be able to scale for production. And it needs to be a secure, governed, agentic AI environment to ensure everything that you're doing actually realizes the value and doesn't add in unwanted, unnecessary changes. Private cloud AI provides inferencing that scales and agentic AI that you can see and you can trust. You get to make the decision. We hope to be part of the journey with you. We'd love to hear your stories next year at Discover in either Barcelona in the fall or back here in Vegas next year. We're here to support you in your journey, to partner with you, and see all the amazing things that you do with your inferencing and agentic AI in the future. Enjoy the rest of the conference, safe travels home, and see you next year.